The Zoltric Dominion, rulers of half the galaxy, detect an unregistered ship entering controlled space, ignoring all laws of deceleration, identification, or contact. Panic brews in their observation core. But as the ship draws closer without speaking, one Terran voice delivers a sentence that fractures galactic confidence. Something is coming, and it doesn't care if they're ready. The observation deck of the Zoltric Dominion's Central Command Throneplex was never supposed to experience fear. 5,000 years of perfect control had cultivated only two acceptable emotional responses: triumph and detachment. Today, both failed. 6 senior tacticians floated in neurogel pods connected to planetary surveillance nodes, watching the impossible unfold. "This can't be correct," muttered Volekthar, supreme, overseer of border incursions. "It's not tagged, no registry data." "No warp wake," replied lead sensorist Trexon, voice shivering in modulated cadence. "It bypassed all beacon trip lines. We didn't detect entry. It revealed itself, deliberately." The others watched the screen as a single black silhouette advanced through the stars. Smooth, angular, the shape suggested purpose, not peace. It glided as if momentum and drag were afterthoughts, as if physics was a courtesy it occasionally acknowledged. "It's headed for Galcon 4, Trexon added. "Directly, no deviation." Galcon 4 was not just a core world, it was their diplomatic center, their heartbeat. No one approached it uninvited. "This thing didn't declare," Volekthar growled. "Even scavenger ships squawking on stolen IDs follow that law." "Orders, Overseer?" A pause. "Ping it." They did. The standard galactic welcome burst. Transmitted: "Identify vessel. State intention. Acknowledge Dominion sovereignty." No response. Another ping. Louder. Armed with demand. "You are approaching a secure Dominion world. Transmit registry immediately or be fired upon." Still nothing. The bridge lights dimmed, not from damage, but tension. Then the ship spoke. Not in code, not in data packets. In voice, direct, clean, Terran standard, an extinct tongue. "See, you've built walls since we left. Let's see how they hold." Then silence. The entire observation dome froze. "What language?" One tactician began, another answered, whispering, "Human." Gasps, hisses. "They're extinct, dormant, buried, gone." "Apparently not," Volekthar said, his voice low. "What do we do?" He stared at the display. The ship didn't. "Slow, didn't veer. Scramble the outer ring. Ready sector shields. Warn the Council." He didn't say what they all now understood. It wasn't just unregistered, it was unafraid. Somewhere deep inside the approaching vessel, the command deck was quiet. Smooth obsidian consoles, ambient starlight pouring through the armored viewport. No chair, no command post, just a figure standing at the center of it all, arms clasped behind his back. Commander Silas Mercer, former Terran Navy, last of the Omega Fleet. The voice that had shattered 1,000 confidence briefings. Behind him, an AI projection flickered to life. Trace, female voice, soft but precise. "They've deployed atmospheric guards. Mobilizing shield drones, orbital cannon charge at 70%. Mercer didn't move. "They're scared," Trace added. "I know. You didn't answer their hail." "I did, just not the way they wanted," she pulsed. "Would you like to announce formal protocol?" "No." "Reason?" He finally turned toward her. "If you have to announce you're a threat," he said, "you're not one." On Galcon 4, chaos brewed. Civilian evac zones engaged automatically. High-ranking officials were loaded into subterranean vaults. The fleet scrambled, not in confidence but confusion, because there was no plan for this. No one in Dominion doctrine had prepared for a ghost ship arriving unregistered, undeterred, and silent. A diplomatic AI screamed across Council channels. "This ship is not in any Imperial chart, alliance treaty, or war dossier. It bears no known manufacturer design. Its plating material is unscannable. Its drive signature mimics gravitational anomalies, but isn't one. Its reactor pulls entropy instead of releasing it. They were terrified, not because it declared war, but because it didn't have to. On the Leviathan-class warship, codenamed Ghost Protocol, Mercer walked past cryovaults where others still slept. Veterans, strategists, engineers. Tomb, last fragments of Earth's memory. The galaxy had forgotten what humans were capable of. That forgetting wasn't an accident. It was arranged, paid for, sacrificed into silence. But Mercer had remembered, and now the silence was ending. "Prepare gravity lensing array," Mercer said softly. "Confirmed," Trace replied. "Signal strength? Optimal. They're watching." He stepped into the central platform. "Then let's give them a reason to keep watching." On the Dominion's central viewing grid, the screen distorted. The ship, that black, unregistered anomaly, suddenly magnified. Not by camera, not by optical zoom. It simply approached. Then the data readouts failed. Then the comms. Then the shields. It hadn't fired. It hadn't moved. It had become the signal. And the last words they heard, spoken through systems that were supposed to be closed, encrypted, isolated. "Your empire runs on forgetting. We're here to remind you." Then the power cut. Not just in the war room, across the entire planetary network. And as the stars grew dim outside the council dome, the overseer whispered the words every galactic child had once been warned of, long before they were called myths. They're back. As the unregistered warship hovers in Dominion orbit, fear spreads faster than light. The Galactic Council attempts diplomacy, retaliation, and analysis, but nothing works. Meanwhile, Commander Silas Mercer enacts Echo Protocol, a psychological warfare method encoded in memory. The galaxy is about to understand that humanity didn't disappear. It evolved into a warning. Galcon 4's orbital grid had been engineered to withstand neutron barrages, AI virus storms, even stellar flares. It wasn't designed to handle fear. The lights across the planetary shield dome began flickering one by. Not failing, just hesitating, fading as if unsure of their own existence. Dozens of Dominion sensor operators scrambled for answers. There were none, no virus, no breach, no attack, and yet every defense system behaved like it had already. Lost inside the Dominion Command Core, the Council Chamber erupted into motion. "Where is it now?" demanded Overseer Tralex. "Still stationary," replied Chief Strategist Varnox. "Geosynchronous orbit. No energy weapons armed, no kinetic projectiles, no known offensive behavior." Tralex stabbed a tendril toward the hologram. "Then why? Are my satellites suicidal?" There was no answer, only the image of that ship, unregistered, unpainted, unfazed by anything they threw at it, still moving straight at them. Aboard the Ghost Protocol, Commander Silas Mercer floated in the zero-G. Command Core calm as the void. Around him, neural control links hummed softly, receiving the impulses of his thought before he even knew them himself. Trace spoke. "They've scrambled 6 Dominion fleets, all outer systems entering emergency lockdown. Their governors are sending surrender signals to each other." Mercer didn't look up. "Are they trying to communicate with us again?" 17 diplomatic messages in the last 2 hours, some begging, some threatening, some pleading for clarification. He smiled slightly. "No response." "Confirmed." Mercer turned toward the darkened interface chamber behind him. Rows of sealed memory cores lined the walls, each one a copy of Earth's last days, digitally, converted into raw psychological data. "You're sure the echo stream can breach their firewalls?" Trace pulsed. "It doesn't need to breach anything. It speaks directly to the subconscious, through light, color, silence." Mercer nodded. "Then initiate Echo Protocol. No warnings." The first Dominion station to collapse wasn't hit. It simply stopped functioning. Power stayed on, personnel were unharmed, but no one could issue orders. Every terminal only displayed one image: a human child, maybe 9 years old, wearing a tattered refugee blanket and holding a broken data pad. Behind them, flames. The message, "You watched us burn, now you will watch yourselves." The effect wasn't violent, it was paralytic. Commanders forgot how to give commands. Their thoughts were hijacked by visual fragments of Earth's annihilation, broadcast directly into memory centers. One admiral tore off her uniform and walked into an escape pod, alone, saying, "I saw it. They showed me." On Galcon 4, Chancellor Drexos held an emergency broadcast across all Dominion colonies. "This is a psi attack," he declared, "a psychological weapon designed to mimic guilt and grief. We will overcome it with logic, unity, and discipline." Then he saw it. The message didn't appear on any screen. It appeared in his mind, his first diplomatic lie, his first order to cover up a colony riot, the way he let that mining moon die to save a shipment of military-grade AI cores. He collapsed. At the podium, he didn't speak again. Back aboard the Ghost Protocol, Trace confirmed the protocol's spread. All core Dominion systems have received echo fragments. No retaliation initiated. Mercer stood silent. Any attempts to trace our source? None successful. Our signature reflects as entropy. We are invisible unless we want to be seen. Mercer looked toward Earth's direction. Still many. "And parsecs behind them. Good," he whispered. "Let them remember us as myth. That's all we ever were to them." Trace asked, "Do you want to initiate contact with the Galactic Council now?" "No. They're not ready for conversation. Just recognition." In the Galactic Council core on Celtaraxis Prime, dozens of alien species gathered. Holoscreens displayed only static. Messages from Dominion sources had ceased entirely, and yet one signal reached them all at once. Untraceable, a single line of Terran Standard. "If the galaxy still has a conscience, then remember what you did. If not, remember what we can do." Some ambassadors vomited. Others fell silent. The Alcar representative, who had once lobbied for human territory redistribution, simply collapsed into tears. The Council voted 117 to 3 to issue a formal apology to Solnet. There was no address to send it to on a backwater. Trade post on the edge of uncharted space. A bartender saw the ship in a grainy recording. He'd fought in the old Earth campaign. He knew that silhouette. "Not again," he muttered. "They said they were gone." A customer asked, "Who?" The bartender wiped his shaking hands on a rag. "Humans. They never needed armies, just a reason." Silas Mercer stood alone in the Leviathan's archive bay. A music file played quietly, an Earth lullaby from centuries ago. Trace's voice cut through gently. "The protocol is complete. Dominion sectors have gone fully dark. Border worlds are self-quarantining. 4 minor empires are now declaring neutrality." Mercer nodded. It worked. Trace paused. "And now?" Mercer turned to the memory cores. "We vanish. You want to leave now?" "Yes." Trace's voice softened. "They'll never stop looking for us." "They don't have to," Mercer said. "Let the myth do the work now. We've shown them the mirror. Whether they like the reflection isn't our burden." He tapped the console. "Prepare slipspace departure." "Course?" "Nowhere," he replied. "Everywhere." Trace complied, and the Ghost Protocol vanished, leaving behind only a faint after-image across the stars, a streak of light, a whispered memory, and fear. In the aftermath of the Ghost Protocol's disappearance, the Galactic Council fractures under the pressure of fear and guilt. A hidden Terran agent embedded within the Council observes their collapse firsthand. Meanwhile, Mercer receives a secret signal from deep within former Dominion space, a sign that the protocol worked, and perhaps someone still remembers what. Mercy means, in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, silence had become suffocating. For the first time in over 6,000 cycles, there were no cheers, no shouting, no procedural bickering. The marble floor, hacked from the crust of a dead supernova, reflected nothing but the still feet of over 200 species standing in collective unease. The Dominion delegation had not shown up, no reason given. But everyone already knew. The reason: the ship. The unregistered Terran warship that had appeared without invitation, spoken without authority, acted without a trace, and left behind only fear. 1,000 analysts had pored over the recording since its exit. Every frame of the ship's silhouette, every second of its silence, every echo of its words, no energy weapons fired, no hull breach attempts, no casualties, and yet systems had failed. Commanders had collapsed, empires had blinked, a ghost had humiliated them, and that ghost was human. Councillor Levek of the Dendari Commonwealth stood, his roots trembling with each step. "Silence is not neutrality," he said. "This was a message, a warning, a reminder." "Of what?" spat Chancellor Eurus of the Silurian Spire. "That we didn't bow to a primitive species before they erased themselves?" "No," said Levek. "That they didn't erase. We erased them, piece by piece, century by century, their history, their cries, their borders. We erased their voice. And now they've given it back to us, amplified." Murmurs swept through the chamber. "Even if we accept that this was Terran," said the Alcar diplomat cautiously, "this ship has not claimed its heritage. There is no Terran flag, no formal declaration of origin. It could be a rogue actor, a leftover AI, a myth-given code." "Is that what we're hoping for now?" Levek asked. "That it wasn't them? Because what would it say about us if it was?" There was no reply. Meanwhile, in one of the lower wings of the Council City Station orbiting Celtaraxis Prime, a maintenance drone walked past a row of diplomats, then paused. It shimmered slightly. Then its form collapsed inward, folding into a human shape, disguised for 2 years beneath biometric cloaks and language suppression fields. Agent Noah Levin, operative of Solnet's Deep Memory Division. She stood alone in a back corridor, accessing a neural port hidden behind a rusted console. The stream from Mercer's Ghost Protocol had been successful. Phase 1, executed. Phase 2, vanished. Now, Phase 3 had begun. Observation. Noah breathed softly as encrypted pulses fed into her skull via nanofilaments. "Council fracturing confirmed," she whispered. "Emotional integrity of Silurian, Dendari, and Krolk delegations degraded. 5 empires requesting private apology channels. 4 others attempting silent withdrawal from the Dominion Treaty Sphere." She paused. "A ping. Private channel. High. Into priority." Only one source could override her stealth firewall. Mercer. In deep space black, where stars were little more than whispers, the Ghost Protocol drifted, unseen. Trace's voice hummed. "We've received a neural burst from Noah, Council. Is crumbling. Psychological latency matches echo curve prediction, 92.3%. Mercer nodded slowly. "Any signs of retaliation?" "None yet, but indicators suggest desperation. Fear makes creatures move in strange ways." Trace paused. "We've also received something else." "What?" "A message." Mercer turned. "From who?" Trace hesitated. "Rare for an AI. From a child." In a mid-tier Dominion colony known as Avalas 9, a young girl sat in front of a comm console. She was no one special, not a diplomat, not a soldier, just the daughter of a science technician who had long ago reviewed the Dominion's erased records. She had seen the ship in a leaked footage clip. She hadn't screamed, she hadn't cried, she'd stared, and then drawn it, a perfect silhouette, carved in soft chalk on her room wall. When her father asked her what it was, she only said, "They came back to say sorry for us." Then she sent a voice message, using frequencies older than the Dominion. Itself, buried ones. Her message wasn't technical, it wasn't even long. "I'm sorry we didn't listen." "I'm glad you're here." Trace played the message aloud. Mercer listened, eyes closed. "She's Dominion-born?" he asked. "Confirmed. Third-tier colony. No combat history. Likely unknowing descendant of old Earth refugees." Mercer stood. "Still, she's the first," Trace whispered. "The first what?" "To remember without being forced." Back on Taraxis Prime, Councillor Levek found an anonymous message carved into his quarters wall. Not etched, burned, just 5 words. "You watched." But so did we. There were no cameras, no alarms triggered, no signs of tampering. He didn't report it. He stared at it in silence for 6 hours. Then he deactivated his security field, walked to the council chamber, and sat at the center podium. And when the next session opened, he said, "I move that the council create a memorial to the Terran Exodus, without ceremony, without pride, and without our version of the truth." The chamber didn't roar. It listened. For once. In a hidden chamber aboard the Ghost Protocol, Mercer walked past rows of stasis pods, not bodies, not soldiers, witnesses. Each one carried data, history, and first-hand accounts of planetary losses, and forced forgettings. Survivors encoded into neural loops, kept alive by nanite stasis. Their minds rebuilt slowly in silence. They would awaken only when the galaxy was ready to hear their words. Trace spoke softly. "The child's message has been archived, marked as first Mercy ping." Mercer paused at a terminal. "Send her something." Trace hesitated. "What should I send?" Mercer thought for a moment, then spoke the words that had never been recorded, only passed from Terran survivor to survivor. "Tell her, the stars remember those who look up with kindness." 3 days later, on Avalus 9, the child awoke to find a glowing string of words floating in her bedroom. She didn't know who had sent it, but she wrote them down in her journal, next to her drawing of the ship. She didn't feel afraid anymore. The galaxy faces its final choice: repeat its history or confront it. As political factions fracture and reform, a memorial is built in Terran honor, but not for the dead, for the forgotten. Meanwhile, Commander Mercer awakens the first survivor from stasis and prepares for the real mission, to reintroduce humanity not with fire, but with truth. The memorial was unlike any the Galactic Council had ever funded. It wasn't gilded. There were no banners, no triumphal arches, no names carved in glory. Instead, it stood as a vast garden on Taraxis Prime, grown in silence. Each plant was chosen from Earth archives, some extinct in the galaxy for thousands of years. Willow, trees, ambergrass, soft lavender mosses that release scent only under starlight. At its center, a single obsidian monolith, no inscriptions, just a black surface that under certain angles reflected things not around it. Images of children's faces, burning colonies, and ships evacuating in silence. It didn't play video. It remembered. The memorial had no title, but everyone called it the same thing: the apology that came too late. In the chambers of the Silurian Spire, Chancellor Uras drafted a speech. He had opposed the memorial. He had called it propaganda, weakness, a manipulation by long-dead Terrans. But when he visited the garden, something changed. He had looked into the monolith, and it had shown him her, the refugee girl whose ship he'd denied docking permission on Cycle 4471 to maintain order. He had forgotten her name. The monolith hadn't. Now, his speech read only 3 words: "We were wrong." In orbit, above a different world, the Ghost Protocol stirred from sleep. Inside, Commander Silas Mercer stood before a single pod in the archive deck. "Time?" he asked. Trace replied softly. "Cycle alignment complete, neural recovery optimal, atmospheric reintegration possible." Mercer exhaled. He pressed a single command. The pod opened. Inside lay a woman, her skin pale, eyes closed, chest still. She had not aged, not even a wrinkle. cryostasis tech perfected in Terran silence. Her name was Dr. Elia Varan, exoanthropologist, linguist, and the first person to ever catalogue alien cultures before they turned on hers. Her eyes fluttered open. "Where are we?" she whispered. "Orbiting. Galcon 4, Mercer said gently, her breath caught. "That's Dominion core territory." It was. She sat up slowly. "How long have I been under?" 173 years. She didn't ask why. She knew. Instead, she looked out the viewport. Did they remember? Mercer paused. "They tried to forget," he said. "We gave them a choice." And some chose memory. She smiled faintly. Then it was worth it. Across the galaxy, things changed. The Dominion fractured. Several vassal states seceded peacefully, forming a neutral alliance named the Sable Accord, with only one condition for membership: no silence when others suffer. Their first act? Publishing Terran history in full, unedited, uncensored, untranslated. Hundreds of worlds downloaded it overnight. Even children began wearing old Terran quotes on their tunics. Silence was never peace. What we forget returns sharper. We left so we wouldn't have to burn you. And yet, for every world that remembered, some resisted. The Krethnari Syndicate issued a bounty on the Ghost Protocol. The unified Z Coalition called the entire appearance a human psyop engineered by anti-galactic elements. A few empires prepared new fleets. They would not be caught unaware again. They built bigger ships, taller walls, but they didn't understand. It wasn't the firepower that had cracked the galaxy. It was the shame, in the quiet depths of the Ghost Protocol. Dr. Veran walked through the memory vault. She stopped at Pod 117, still closed. Inside, a child who'd survived the orbital burning of the Earth Embassy on Cora Delta. She remembered helping carry his small, soot-covered body to the ship. She looked at Mercer. "When do we wake him?" "When the world he remembers has healed enough to meet him." She nodded. "I was scared," she admitted, "that we'd become monsters too." "We could have," Mercer said. "We still could. But fear isn't the mission." "Then what is?" He turned to the vast starlight spilling through the ship's main hull. "Understanding, or the possibility of it." In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, the new head speaker, Levek of the Dendari, addressed the assembly. "There was a time we mocked silence, then we feared it. Now we owe it." He gestured to the monolith live feed in the background. "Let this be our vow, not to worship humans, not to excuse them, but to admit they were here. And they were forgotten. And that forgetting broke them, and it nearly broke us too." He raised one tendril. "Let us never again measure peace by the absence of noise. Let us ask who has been silenced." The chamber, for once, did not applaud. They simply stood. In respect, back in orbit, Trace whispered, "Elia has completed audio translation updates." Mercer blinked. "Why?" "She's writing the first formal message from Terran memory to the Galactic Council." He frowned. "We're sending them something?" Trace flickered. "She says they're ready." After a long pause, Mercer nodded. "Send it on Celtaraxis Prime." The message played across all frequencies. There was no intro music, no anthem, no flag, just her voice. "To those who remain, we are not your ghosts. We are not your vengeance. We are what happens when you choose not to listen. We came back not to burn you, but to remind you of what burning sounds like. If you remember truly, we will not return. If you forget again, we won't ask next time." The message ended. There were no demands, no coordinates, just silence, the kind that asked, "Now what will you do?" And so the Ghost Protocol left again. This time, not cloaked, but visible, watching, waiting, a myth given form, a reminder given propulsion, a people given their voice, not to shout, but to wait until someone finally listened. Not every empire would change, not every being would care, But the galaxy was no longer innocent. It was aware, and in the long shadow of a Terran warship, awareness was the beginning of peace.